What's going on, guys? This is Samurai Big Pie and welcome to another DayZ video. So today I am going to be showing you how to create a giant pile of loot in DayZ Standalone experimental, or not experimental but stable 4.7. So I've seen a lot of these pictures on Reddit and a bunch of other things where there would be these giant piles of all sorts of good loot spread around, and I never knew how to. All I knew is it somehow involved this kind of building. But I went up and down the coast going to these and could not get it to work for the life of me until I finally figured out and started reading about some of the loot mechanics that it only spawns within a certain amount. New items only spawn within a certain distance when an old item is picked up. So I went to coordinates 146012, and it is a little bit northwest of Savetlo. And here we have I guess it's a Misc feed shack, and then over there is a hunting stand, and over there is a deer stand. And I was able to get this to work on 2 different servers. So you do need to make sure that there is loot in there and someone hasn't already taken it or started doing this process. I've just logged in, so I have not moved anything, so you're going to be seeing it just from the front. So the first thing you gotta do is you gotta go into this feed shack and you gotta pick up the items that you want. So I've already done this quite a few times on other servers. So I have 2 tents already, and then my buddy has 3. He's got 2 in his backpack as well, and he's got 1 in his hands. So to carry a tent, you do need a hunter backpack or one of the large mountain backpacks. So now, if you look, there's an item that already spawned in here. So you pick that up. I'm just gonna drop that down. Go back to where you have your pile, which I don't even, oh, there it is, can't even see it yet, and drop that down. Then you're gonna run back to the Misc feed and see what else spawns. So we got a compass. Okay, grab that. Anything else spawn? Nope. Alright. Oh, yep, I lied. Okay, so that's gonna be a little bit difficult to carry, so I'm just gonna actually put those on and then grab my hiking, and as I'm talking, just more stuff is just spawning on. So that's just the idea. Now the whole time you're doing this, what it's doing, I'm guessing, don't quote me on this, but is it's attempting to spawn loot, but it can't because nothing else is close enough. I guess it's too far from Savetlo, so what it does is it spawns it back and forth between these 3 buildings. So to actually find the tent, it took the 2 of us about 15 minutes to get 5 tents total, so it's not bad. I've tried this on a couple different servers, like I said, and sometimes it does take a little bit longer. They did nerf the spawn rates because that's just what people were doing. They were too easy to get. You can self-sustain yourself off this. You can get melee weapons, guns, ammo from the deer stands. You can get the Mosin, you can get Mosin ammo, SKS, shotgun. Shotgun was actually the first one I found. The new carbine, I found that. SKS, I found that. They're pretty good loot. And all you do is you just continually just pick up the loot, and you go, oh, see, look, more stuff's already spawning, and you go out and do this. Now, this little shack right here does spawn Talon backpacks. However, those cannot carry a tent. So what you want to do is you want to do this quite a few times till it's got so much loot you can't even stay here. And then you want to go run over to the deer stands and check to see what they have. The deer stands take a little bit longer because you're not loot cycling the deer stands. However, they will be spawning a little bit of loot. I checked, they both, the one over here had 0 items when I originally got here. So we're going to go ahead and see how many items this one has. And frames per second, they're still pretty bad recording. However, outside of recording, I am getting about 40 to 50 frames outside of a city, and then about 25 to 30 depending on how many people are on inside of a main city. So frames are better, but nowhere near what they should be. So again, this had nothing, so we're going to climb up here and take a look and see what we have here now. We've got some shotgun ammo. So as soon as I pick these up, it's going to start loot cycling this spot. And I might get an item instantly, might not. Nope, I'm not getting anything. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run over to the next one. You can find crossbows, crossbow bolts. I have a splitting axe, so we actually got a bunch of fish hooks, and the Misc feed shack spawns a rope. We went fishing a little bit. You can get a portable gas stove and some gas canisters, and yeah, so you can essentially just go find a pig, and you can live out here forever. It's a pretty nice spot. You can fit the hooks and the boonie hat and all that now. The deer stands do spawn 4-slot winter hunter pants and the hunting backpacks. However, they do not spawn the coats, obviously not. So you do need to bring a 4-slot to have better item mobility, I guess. You can hold more items. And what I'm actually going to do here in a second is, because I don't know when the server is going to restart, I am going to just drop my axe right here and my shoes, just because in case the server resets I don't want to drop my backpack, and that would really suck, losing 2 tents, because I don't particularly want to be doing this all day. Got places to go hide the tents. I might actually place one in this video too. I'm not quite sure yet. So as you can see, I got a decent amount of loot going already, and then after 15 minutes, I mean, it just becomes a giant mess. And this is relatively simple to do. I've only been doing this for a couple minutes now, and already I'm starting to see a large amount of loot is respawning in here. Like, as I just walk in, like 3 items popped up. You're gonna get mostly shoes, and it sucks, but that's how it works, unfortunately, because that's what it mostly spawns. And so enough with this. I'm gonna go ahead and check out the deer stand now. Everything here except for the brown jacket I've gotten from the tents. You can get rarely. We've gotten 1 bandage so far. I think it was badly damaged, but there's also first aid kits and all that. So it spawns food, it spawns water bottles, canteens. It doesn't spawn anything to open cans, however. So you do need to wait to get these. Well, actually, I don't know if it does or not, but I haven't encountered anything yet. This one doesn't have anything either, which is kind of depressing, but that's okay. We do know that it's working, and by the time I get back here there should be a couple more items. Eventually what happens after you do this a long enough time, like the items just start bugging out, and it starts to spawn all sorts of stuff all over. Like, you're gonna get backpacks just like as soon as you walk in. You're not gonna be able to get out until you move the backpacks, because there's just so many backpacks spawning. Shoes, you're gonna have the coolest shoe shop in the game, I tell you that. See, here's soda. And I've noticed that probably the easiest thing to do is just straight up drink and eat what you have. You don't need to save any of it until you're ready to leave. Although, that's probably because I've been playing too much Arma mod lately. Wasn't ready for that. And then, there goes my FPS. See, there's a backpack. So it does spawn backpacks. Let's go check on the deer stand again. Now, the thing to remember about the 4.7 stable is that items are not persistent. So on a server reset, all these items will go away, and new loot will attempt to spawn in these 3 places. Although sometimes I've been on servers where nothing spawned, and then you cannot do this. Or I just didn't stay there long enough to let loot spawn. Either way, I wasn't waiting. But if you place a tent and the server restarts, you will lose the tent and all the items inside, because loot is not yet persistent. So there we go. There's the new carbine, and carbine, I don't know. And then there's a little, it's kind of a cool bandana, but I like my boonie hat, because my boonie hat holds my hooks. So yeah. So, yeah. So you can get ammo for all these guns. You can get melee weapons. I haven't seen any axes or anything like that, but you can look up what the deer stands spawn. Maybe if you start with the deer stand, it'll spawn more loot there than in the Misk feed shack. However, that's going to get you your food and essentially your tents. It's much easier when you don't have 2 tents in your backpack. to cycle through this loot, and I'd probably have one by now. However, you know, it's kind of difficult to do that. And in here, nothing's changed yet, so what I can do is I can just throw that in there. Then, oh, there's a first aid kit already. But yeah, so it works pretty well, and you can look up on the wiki and all sorts of other stuff, and tents do spawn in there. It's a pretty good spawn chance. Like I said, it only took me about 15 minutes. But yeah, there you have it. So this is how you make your own crazy loot pile and you get your tent. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep farming this till I get another tent, put it in my hands, and then I'm logging out till loot's persistent, and I'll have 6 tents combined and I'm set. Alright, you guys take care.